Greetings, it's John, aka Jab, and I haven't made any videos for like a few months. I know this has been kind of a routine the past couple years, but I've been working on a lot of stuff and getting things organized, so kind of give you guys a heads up. Now I will be making video game videos probably sometime next year. I have a lot of plans, and part of that will be I will be updating my hardware. I plan on getting like the 4 GHz octa-core and whatnot. And I really don't think AMD is going to stop with the larger cores like Steamroller and Bulldozer and Pile Driver, and I think Arc. I forget the other code name. Anyway, so what have I been working on of late? Well, since July, I've been working on building my own email, part of my platform. Now, email has been one of the more in-depth pieces of software, mainly because all the HTML that people send out sucks. I've seen retarded things like the body element with the style open and then the head open and then everything that was supposed to be in the body be in the head, because spammers are apparently that retarded they can't even figure out the head goes above the body like a human being. Head, body, right? You imagine, you can. So anyway, I've been working on that, just got spam filters implemented, and I had a question asked of me recently: what is my favorite kind of client, or my best kind of client? I think the best kind of client that I could have is someone who could say, John, can you just have it do this? I'll give you an example. I have a client who I will be building a website for, who is waiting for the email to be in place, because she absolutely has to have the email in place before her website can start using my software. But once these everything's in place, she doesn't have to sign in a second time to check her email, which is great and all. So she's like, well, John, can you have it so when they type in their information into the contact form, it goes directly to my address book, which I'm going to be building after I finish the email. I said, that's a really good idea. And that is the kind of client that I prefer to work with, because it helps them, it saves them time, it becomes a selling point for my software, and just it's a win-win all around. And that's basically the kind of client I like, are the clients that's a win-win from. I get compensated, they get to be able to do what they want to do, and that's just generally a win-win. So I get a lot of followers on my website, jabcreations.com. Same thing as my username, just add a .com after it. And so I'm going to be building email. I've probably got about a week and a half, roughly, to finish that. I got past all the big hairy stuff of interpreting emails, the IMAP server, and all that. Really slow. Database is a lot faster. And yeah, I know, it's like, the database is faster? Yes, it is. And so once I finish the email in a week and a half, I have to build an address book. Now, I'm not going to go all crazy, because I'm not going to be doing a public service like Yahoo Mail, which is actually the reason why I decided to build my own email service, actually now instead of like later on down the road, because Yahoo Classic Mail was, had its quirks, but it worked. It wasn't too retarded, even though Yahoo's like, should we test this before we release it? Nah, let's just put it live in an environment. It's not like anyone ever done any bugs ever, right? So the new Yahoo Mail, it sucks. It takes me half a minute before it actually, after I clicked on the spam button, to go to the spam folder to make sure that the email that's supposed to be in the inbox isn't going in the spam folder, because it does it anyway. Happens with all email providers, by the way, so I'm not trying to knock on Yahoo specifically. And yeah, so it's also going to look a lot more professional on business cards instead of having a Yahoo address, which, yeah. So anyway, email, address book, and then accounting, because I'm going to be offering packages to my computer repair clients who I need to be able to make sure, oh yeah, I still have service with this person, and I have to honor that agreement. Whereas right now I'd have to use third-party stuff, which doesn't work very well. And the whole point of having my whole own platform is that I don't have to rely on third parties, and my clients don't have to rely on third parties. And if there's a problem, it's not like it's WordPress where we have to contact someone at WordPress, but we don't know them. We have to figure out if we're going to fix this. It's a bug. It's not good. With me, the bug stops here, which is what people want. They want people who can get stuff done. So the thing about this is, I'm going to use the keyword prerequisites. Okay? Like, for example, I'm going to be doing a lot of networking later on this fall for various purposes. But to make it really simple, if I go out before things are in place, then when I need to rely on the things that are not in place, that doesn't make me look good. It makes me look really unorganized, which I'm not, and not reliable. And that's what people want, is someone they can rely on. So if you don't do software, start reading about prerequisites, because it's pretty important. And the great thing about what I do is I'm not Microsoft. I would actually rather stay who I am on a visual level without the money than have hundreds of billions of dollars and have Apple envy. Look at Apple's doing. Look at Apple's doing. Let's screw up all of Windows, and Windows is now Windows 8, and no one likes it. And like Levano got caught trying to sell applications and stuff through their new start menu, and Windows 8.1 with their new, oh, we put the start menu back. No, it goes to Metro. Well, it's not Metro. We stopped calling it. It's Metro, and it's still Metro, and Windows 8 still sucks, regardless of how many point whatever numbers behind it. And yeah, everyone's like, yay, Bomber's gone. Some people are like, maybe they did that to raise the stock prices or whatever. So it's all about long-term planning. And a big part of the long-term is, I've had a client, a lot of things clients tell me, not all the things that, it's not always clients tell me, sometimes it's people who aren't my clients, but this client told me, John, I had this computer that worked perfectly for 20 years. Everything they wanted, email, Word documents, etc. Broke down, couldn't get the same model, had to learn everything over again. Why? Why does software need to keep changing? Now, I'm using the word change, because change, no. Software doesn't need to change. There's no need to change. Yeah, the position of the Earth around the Sun changes, but it's part like of the system, okay? So, please forgive my 15 FPS webcam, okay? Anyway, so software should adapt. Software should, whatever, that's the beauty of what I'm working on, is my business, is that I add whatever the demand is. So there's very few things I don't have right now that I plan on adding. Now, the end of last year, I was like, oh, I have everything that I know that I need. What don't I know that I need? And I learned a lot of that this year. And I'm sure this will be a continuous revolving cycle. But the important thing is that when I build something, like a major module or section, I use those terms interchangeably. When I use the term module, I'm referring to like blog, or forum, or email, or shopping cart, or private messaging, etc. It's a search engine. And so when I build a module, I don't need to be the bulletin of forums. I need a forum, and the forum is not like a forum tacked on to WordPress, where it's kind of like a forum, but it's not a forum. And it doesn't need to be an all-out bulletin, the forum of forums, or PHPB, or any of those other, they are so specific, and they only do what they do. And that's the problem with the software. So instead of doing like a little tack on, like a plugin for WordPress, or an all dedicated thing, that's not what people need. People need a forum that's a forum, next to a blog that's a blog, next to a private message system that's a private message system, next to a search engine that's a search engine, next to statistics are real statistics that don't use user agents, for those of you who are technical and do follow me, and appreciate those small details. Because the thing is, when you build something, and my policy is to spend the extra 20% of the time doing it right the first time. I'll give you an example, spam filters. One of the things that annoys me to no end about spam filters on all the other systems is, let's say I'm going to try to keep this civil here, we're going to use the word aardvark, even though we all know that there are definitely different words you would use for spam filters, okay? So, by the way, no swearing in the channel comments, but feel free to, say whatever you want, as long, as you're not, like, trolling. So, when you make, at least with all the spam filter forms and all that I've seen for other email systems, you'd have to, if you want to mark an email as spam if it contains the word aardvark in the subject, or in the body, you'd have to make 2 filters for aardvark, one for the subject and one for the body. And that's why. But same term, why do you have to put the term? And then you end up using all your filter limit to like a, 10 or 20 or something arbitrary. And, I guess it's not so much arbitrary when you start using regular expressions, but then again, the server load is usually pretty much as high as it is because people go really overkill on regular expressions, regex. And honest, there's like 5 regex checks through the entire software of mine and PHP. I think it's definitely single digits, and people rely on that too much because they don't bother to do it the right way. Yes, it's a pain, and yes, it's like, when's the software gonna be out? It's like a video game. When's the game gonna be out? When's the game gonna be out? But like when Skyrim came out, it had version 1.2. You still couldn't complete the main quest line of the game. And yes, it's one of those, it's kind of like World of Warcraft where you could continuously play it forever and ever, and I'm sure there are people are definitely playing it forever and ever, and which is great. I mean, check out the graphics add-ons for Morrowind. It looks pretty good for Morrowind, and even though it was gorgeous graphics back then, today by today's standards, it's like, eh. But when you look at something like the main quest line in the video game, and that doesn't work without having to cheat or having to go out of official lines. You have to download from like a third-party download system where is usually associated with viruses and stuff just to make the game work. That's because you're trying to meet a deadline versus trying to get it done. And that's where a lot of, for those of you who do write software like myself, a big part of what I've noticed the difference. This is not putting myself up above other people. This is just so other people who write software could take this in mind. When you get something new feature in a browser, it's brand new and all that great stuff. Yeah, it's cool to experiment with it, but before you run off and experiment with something, you have to say, how is this useful? How could this potentially be useful? Okay, this isn't really useful on its own. How is it useful with something else? Alright? And yeah, it's okay to experiment with stuff, and if you're in college and you're definitely learning stuff, or if you're doing it the smart way and you're not in college and you're working on the side instead of putting yourself in thousands of dollars of debt, I mean, sometimes yes, you have to take college, legally binding, but unless you're legally bound to take, get a college degree for being like a doctor or something, you really don't need a college degree for most of that stuff. Everything's an industry now. I have a whole video dedicated to that, and I really should shoot another one for that. But anyway, the whole point is that when you have something, does it actually do what people need? And that's a big part of the process, because I wear all the hats. I do XHTML, as real XHTML, application XHTML plus XML, CSS, all the JavaScript. I do all the PHP. I do all the SQL. I do all the Apache rewrites and all that stuff. I don't use jQuery. I don't use client or server-side frameworks. I don't I don't make a new site and plop down 15 different folders with controllers and viewers. I don't do all that. I do what needs to be done, and that's that. And yes, you take the extra 20% of the time. Why? Why should it take longer to do something and get the quality first? Well, tell you what, you don't get people who go on YouTube and make a video and mention, hey, this awesome game was great, but I couldn't finish the main quest line. Not like a little tiny sideline or something. The main quest line for the entire game. And that's a big part of it. And again, like that moderation where, hey, no, it's not a plugin, but no, it's also not a full dedicated everything in the world where like there's a blog that's tagged onto a forum that's part of a so on and so forth. So a lot of it, when you're waiting for software, be it software that you're not using for gaming or games, I think it's very important that it's stressed that do it right, get it right, not the release date right. Don't worry about the release date. It's done when it's done, and you can get a decent, reasonable release date by not going overkill on features, by sticking to what is absolutely necessary. And I think that's very important. So prerequisites: do what you need to do. Don't skip what you know is absolutely necessary. Don't go overkill at the same time, and ask yourself, is this what people really need? No? Okay. Keep it in mind, and maybe eventually you can implement it in something else. So that's a big part of how the software is built. And so email, address book, and some basic accounting. And after that, the only thing I will not have at this point that I know of is a shopping cart. And I'm always looking for input from people. So hey, if there's something where you wish you had something that also had a built-in form and a blog, but there's this one thing that I haven't mentioned, go ahead and comment on there, because I'm always looking to expand my software. And I do have a lot of big things I'm going to be announcing on my channel. Probably sometime next year. I don't have like a decisive date right now, but it's going to be pretty exciting, and it is related to my business. Can't really give you guys too many hints here, but I think if you think about it, it should become kind of clear. So anyway, thank you guys for watching. I'm going to try to post a couple other videos sometime soon, and trust me, I will be getting back to gaming. I'm thinking probably when AMD and NVIDIA release the 20nm video cards, which are probably going to be out, I'd say early 2014, probably spring latest, but I plan on upgrading before, probably no later than winter, okay? And yes, Florida does have a winter, so I definitely be doing video game videos within about half a year tops, I promise. I haven't forgotten you guys, and definitely just got to do certain things. Prerequisites: business and money, then pleasure. Thanks for watching. I'll see you guys soon.